Mr. Wittman, you are now recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to thank our witnesses for joining us today. Rear Admiral Lucelle, I want to start with you, and I want to speak specifically to the choice suite that have been given us by the Navy. Choices go from bad to worse, and one of those is the strike fighter shortfall. As you know, the minimum requirement under the law is to have 10 carrier strike air wings by 2025. And the Navy has always paced the carrier strike air wings with the number of carriers available. Even though we've been through all kinds of machinations with Ford, she's going to be going on deployment or pre-deployment right now as we speak, and we will be at 12 carriers by 2025. From that particular point, it now sounds like the Navy is seeking legislative relief from the 10 carrier air wing requirement by 2025. I believe firmly that it was the understanding of this committee and the full committee that there was only temporal relief for that 10 carrier air wing requirement. So my question to you is, what are the consequences of us going below 10 air wings for the carriers? And why does the Navy no longer intend to field those 10 carrier air wings when there was a commitment, I believe, made by the Navy to Congress that they would indeed do that, based upon the number of carriers that will be in the fleet by 2025? And what is the operational risk that the Navy is taking on by requesting to go below 10 carrier air wings?
Sir, thank you very much for that question. There were several questions in there, so I'll stick with where you ended up first, and then we can redirect after that if you'd like. The primary reason why we asked for legislative relief to go back to 9 air wings, to remain at 9 air wings, spoken correctly, is that when you look at our overall master aviation plan that delineates where all of our aircraft carriers are going to be at any given time, that goes out for a 10-year period. And so as we look at that, there are very few periods of time, brief time, where we have more than 9 aircraft carriers available, predominantly due to at least one carrier in our COH, and right now we have 2, and then at least one other aircraft carrier in a docked planned maintenance period that lasts generally anywhere from 12 to 16 months, depending on the workload of that aircraft carrier. And those are stacked east and west coast as we go through. So as we look through that entire time frame, there were very brief periods of time where we had more than 9 aircraft carriers available. And so all of our analysis indicated that 9 carrier air wings was adequate to be able to staff and man the aircraft carriers that we were going to have available to use at any time in the next 10 years. And so given the funding constraints on the overall top line in the Navy and the investments required, as you mentioned in your statement, there were higher priority things to put that money against, which is why we asked for legislative relief.
Well, as I see it, the problem with that is during those times when you will need more than 9 carrier air wings, you're going to be really pushing those jets on a lot of hours to be able to bridge those gaps. We've seen what's happened with F-18 and putting a lot of hours on those aircraft and deep dive depot maintenance level work that's needed, and we've seen the cost and the time that goes along with that. So I think there is some risk as you're pushing the envelope on those. It sounds great conceptually, but when you push those aircraft that hard, we know what happens to the lifespan of the aircraft and then what it costs in deep level maintenance elements. Lieutenant General Wise, I want to get a question in real quickly, and that is related to Force Design 2030. In the Force Design 2030, the Corps' intent is to reduce squadron size from 16 to 10 primary aircraft. And General Berger previously explained that the Corps is going to finalize their F-35 request. This year we see 3 F-35Bs, 3 F-35Cs. The question then becomes, does the Corps anticipate updating their request based on the Commandant's comments, based on the current request in the PB, and what factors is the Corps considering in making decisions regarding the size of F-35 squadrons?
Sir, I appreciate the question, and the initial decision to take it down to 10 planes per squadron was based on a couple of things. Sorry, there we go.
Yeah.
The decision to take it down to 10 aircraft per squadron was based primarily on the fact that the F-35 deploys as a division at any given time, so having 2 divisions. But what also happened at the same time is that was kind of the placeholder. So we've been doing, as you are aware, a lot of the studies, war games, experimentation to make sure we got it right. Because part of the other part of the question the Commandant's trying to answer is, okay, if we start with that, we have to exercise it on the amphibs to ensure that the rest of the air wing, the flight deck can be managed appropriately, all the things to readiness of the aircraft, all those things actually equal 10. So that's where a lot of the study is going right now. As far as adjusting the, I think it would be premature to adjust the actual program of record right now.
Okay.
And the other factor I would say in there is the initial decision to go to 420, there was a cost-constrained piece of it. Because if you look at the attrition models that was used, it was truncated to make it more affordable for a program. If you expand out back to what the original attrition model would have been, we'd still be pretty close to 420.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your indulgence.